In the Viking saga, How to Train Your Dragon, young Hiccup does the unthinkable. He befriends the creature his people fear most, a dragon. But dragons, it turns out, aren't just fire-breathing beasts. They're mirrors. They reflect what we refuse to see in ourselves. What if the real dragons aren't out there, but within us, lurking in the dark corners of our minds, shaping our choices, our regrets, even our dreams? Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist who mapped the uncharted territories of the human psyche, called these hidden forces the shadow. The parts of ourselves we exile, our anger, envy, selfishness, or even buried talents we dismiss as too much or not enough. But here's the twist. Jung believed that this shadow isn't our enemy. It's a disowned teacher, and until we face it, we're like Hiccup's village, stuck in an endless war with monsters of our own making. Think of the last time you snapped at someone for a flaw you secretly share, or the ambition you buried because it felt selfish, or the dream you abandoned because it seemed unrealistic. These aren't random missteps, they're clues. Jung argued that the shadow isn't a flaw, it's a roadmap to wholeness. But how do we read a map we've spent a lifetime ignoring? Consider Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Jekyll isn't destroyed by Hyde. He's destroyed by his refusal to acknowledge Hyde as part of himself. Or take modern life. We chase productivity hacks and positivity mantras, yet wonder why we're haunted by anxiety or cycles of self-sabotage. Jung would say it's simple. We're at war with our shadows. And wars, as Hiccup learns, rarely end with winners. But what if we stopped fighting? Jung's shadow work isn't about slaying dragons. It's about seeing them clearly, their claws, their fire, their strange, untamed wisdom. It's asking, what if my worst trait holds a hidden strength? What if my deepest shame is a compass pointing to where I need to grow? Neuroscience now reveals that confronting these buried parts rewires the brain. Ancient myths, from Theseus in the labyrinth to Buddha facing Mara, whisper the same truth. The path to freedom runs through the dark. But here's the question we'll unravel today. How do you tame dragons you can't even see? Carl Jung's shadow isn't a monster under the bed. It's the monster we become when we refuse to see ourselves fully. Picture Dr. Jekyll, the respectable Victorian scientist who bottles up his primal urges until they erupt as Mr. Hyde. Hyde isn't a separate entity. He's Jekyll's disowned self, the rage, lust, and egoism deemed unacceptable by society. Jung called this the shadow, the reservoir of traits we deny, often because they clash with our ideal self. Psychologically, repression and projection fuel the shadow. Freud argued repression buries desires, but Jung saw it as a survival tactic. We hide what threatens our social standing. Yet, like steam in a sealed kettle, the shadow leaks. Ever met someone who despises laziness but secretly procrastinates? That's projection, condemning in others what we reject in ourselves. A 2019 study in the Journal of Applied Psychology found that workplace conflicts often stem from leaders projecting insecurities onto teams, a manager criticizing unprofessionalism while ignoring their own temper. The shadow isn't evil, it's exiled. Hiccup's village sees dragons as pests until he realizes their true nature. Similarly, our shadows hold latent strengths. That reckless impulse might be courage in disguise. The first step in shadow work? Stop fighting the dragon. Start asking, what is it trying to show me? Myths are manuals for the soul. Take Theseus entering the labyrinth to slay the Minotaur, a beast born of human hubris. The labyrinth mirrors the mind's maze, the Minotaur, our primal shadow. Nietzsche warned, beware that when fighting monsters, you yourself do not become a monster. Anakin Skywalker's tragedy in Star Wars embodies this. His fear of loss fuels anger, and in battling the Sith, he becomes Darth Vader. Jungian integration isn't annihilation, but dialogue. When Hiccup confronts Toothless, he doesn't wield a sword, he extends a hand. Likewise, shadow work requires curiosity, not force. Neuroscientist Dr. Richard Davidson's research on mindfulness reveals that acknowledging emotions, even dark ones, reduces their grip. Suppression amplifies stress. Acceptance rewires neural pathways.
The work that we and others have been doing is predicated on a critical insight in modern science, the insight concerning neuroplasticity. Our brains are constantly changing, constantly being shaped by the forces around us. But we have typically very little awareness of what those forces are. Our brains are changing wittingly or unwittingly. Most of the time it's unwittingly. Most of the time we're not aware, and we also have little control over those forces.
But why confront the shadow at all? Because unexamined, it pilots our lives. Ever made a decision that didn't feel like you? That's the shadow steering. As Hiccup learns, the dragon tamer must first tame themselves. Ahab in Moby Dick isn't hunting a whale, he's chasing his shadow. His obsession with the white whale mirrors Jung's warning, "What you resist persists." Ahab's refusal to integrate his rage and grief sinks his ship and soul. Integration, conversely, is alchemy. Brené Brown's research on vulnerability frames it as embracing the suck, owning shame to transform it into resilience. Neuroplasticity shows this isn't a metaphor. A 2017 study in Nature found that mindfulness practices, a form of shadow work, thicken the prefrontal cortex, enhancing emotional regulation. Like Hiccup crafting a prosthetic tail for Toothless, integration is creative repair. It's not erasing the shadow, but collaborating with it. That selfish ambition, it might fuel boundary setting. That irrational fear, it could be intuition in wolf's clothing. But shadow work has a dark edge. Jung's theories, developed during World War II, faced criticism for allegedly ambiguously engaging with Nazism. Historian Sonu Shamdasani notes Jung's complex stance. He initially saw Nazism as a collective shadow eruption, but later condemned it. This begs the question, can shadow work become selfish? Fight Club's Tyler Durden epitomizes unintegrated shadow, charismatic but destructive. Yet integration isn't indulgence, it's accountability. A 2020 study in ethical psychology argues that shadow work requires ethical guardrails. Awareness without action is complicity. Is the shadow a prison or a portal? Like Hiccup's bond with Toothless, the answer lies in balance. Taming the dragon doesn't eliminate chaos, it turns a foe into a navigator. So, where does this leave us? Jung's shadow work isn't a hero's journey with a tidy ending. It's a lifelong dance, a negotiation between the self we curate and the self we've yet to understand. Hiccup didn't defeat Toothless, he learned to fly with him. And that's the heart of integration, not erasing the shadow but finding a shared language. Take the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold. The cracks aren't hidden, they're illuminated. Shadow work is psychological kintsugi. It's not about fixing yourself, but honoring how your fractures shape your strength. Brené Brown put it simply, owning our story is the bravest thing we'll ever do. But how do we begin? Jung's work suggests towards an actionable triangle. Befriend the mirror. When you judge someone harshly, pause, ask, Does this reflect a trait I deny in myself? Like Hiccup seeing his fear mirrored in toothless eyes, projection is a clue. Keep a shadow journal. Write a letter to your Mr. Hyde. What does he want? What is he protecting you from? Jung called this active imagination, a dialogue with the unconscious. Rewrite the myth. Revisit a recurring mistake or regret. Instead of, why do I keep failing? Ask, what is this pattern teaching me? As Theseus needed the Minotaur to become a hero, your shadow holds plot twists for your growth. But here's the ethical knot. Can shadow work become narcissism? Jung's own legacy is stained by his early missteps interpreting Nazism as a collective shadow. Integration demands humility. Tyler Durden in Fight Club screams, "Self-improvement is masturbation, a warning against shadow work without accountability." The line between self-discovery and self-absorption is thin, and only you can walk it. Jung wrote, "The shadow is the greatest teacher for those who can bear her." So we end where we began, with dragons. Toothless didn't make Hiccup fearless, he made him brave. The dragon's fire didn't vanish, it lit the way. Your shadow, too, is a flickering torch in the labyrinth of becoming. Will you let it guide you? Next time you feel the tug of a habit you hate or a fear you can't name, remember, the dragon isn't your enemy, it's your co-pilot, and the sky is vast enough for both of you. If this journey into the shadows left you curious, consider subscribing to Kaleidoscope. We untangle the threads of myths, science, and the human psyche, one page at a time. Your mind is a labyrinth. Hit subscribe, and let's explore it together.